Across the spider world, there is a very strict rule about size. The females are massive, towering giants, and the males are dwarfed by comparison. It comes down to survival and reproduction. Females have to store huge energy reserves to produce hundreds of eggs. Males, on the other hand, need to be small and agile so they can find mates without being eaten. But there is one species that ignores this standard layout entirely, Argyroneta aquatica, better known as the diving bell spider. This comparison shows their exact physical proportions. In a total reversal of the norm, the male diving bell spider is nearly 30% larger than the female, and he sports a disproportionately long pair of front legs. This physical reversal happened because Argyroneta aquatica completely abandoned dry land. It spends its entire life cycle submerged. By migrating into the water, the species subjected itself to a new set of physical laws, trading the traits that had defined spiders for millions of years for a body shaped by the physics of the deep. To understand why the male grew so large, we have to look at how he hunts. He is a roving predator, constantly patrolling through aquatic vegetation to find prey. But he has a major problem. He still breathes air, which he traps against his body using a layer of specialized hairs. That trap's bubble acts like a cork, constantly pulling him toward the surface. Water is a dense medium, creating massive drag. He constantly fights upward buoyancy and backward drag. But his elongated front legs are the solution. Sweeping them back, they act as paddles, generating massive forward thrust to overcome the resistance. But long legs require power. Pushing through water requires a larger muscular motor inside his body. The male's size is a strict biomechanical requirement. Without a powerful, heavy body, he simply wouldn't be able to stay submerged long enough to hunt. So why didn't the female also grow larger? In biology, bigger females usually mean more offspring. The incentive to scale up is always there. The answer lies in her lifestyle. Unlike the roving male, the female is a sedentary master architect who spends her life inside a specialized retreat. She anchors a grid of rigid silk threads, filling gaps with a flexible, proteinaceous hydrotell. This composite structure acts as a physical gill. Oxygen particles filter from the water into the gel, while CO2 particles pass outward. The female successfully engineered a permanent, breathable home, proving a species can overcome the lack of biological gills through technology. However, the physical gill isn't perfect. Nitrogen slowly leaks out into the water, causing the internal air volume to gradually shrink. To keep her home from collapsing, she replaces that volume. She ferries fresh air from the surface to her bell, one bubble at a time. This is an exhausting chore. Every trip requires fighting the same buoyancy the male faces, bringing massive amounts of energy just to drag that air down. This graph shows the limit of her body size. As a female gets larger, the volume of air her bell requires grows even faster. Eventually, she reaches a point where the energy needed to maintain her home exceeds what she can eat. So the female size is strictly capped. She is trapped between her need for a bigger body and the thermodynamic cost of keeping a larger home inflated. The water split the species development. The males were shaped by the physics of swimming, and the females were limited by the constraints of engineering. But the diving bell spider isn't the only arachnid trying to return to the sea. We are seeing terrestrial species beginning to test the harsh intertidal zones of the coast. The Bob Marley spider is a prime example. It survives crashing waves by hiding inside coral reefs, waiting out the high tide in air-filled pockets. While other spiders use these hairs to survive high tide, the diving bell spider is the only one to live its entire life cycle without ever returning to land. It shows that evolution doesn't always need to invent new biology. Sometimes a species can achieve the impossible by repurposing the tools it already has, like hair and silk, to build its way into a new world.